Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the afternoon session of the Airport Concessionaire panel. I am Christine Pham. I am the program manager of our Small Business Development Department at the San Diego International Airport. Thank you to each and every one of you that have made the time to be present here today. I'm pleased to be able to welcome you if you've never been here before. We've had Meet the Primes for the past this is number 6 year since 2015, and usually it's offered in person in San Diego. Last year was in Balboa Park. We had 60 exhibitors and nearly 500 attendees. So with each and every year that we've had this event, the event has grown, and we've always had amazing feedback and been encouraged and asked the question, are you guys going to have Meet the Primes again? That was a great event. I'd love the opportunity to be able to network with all these exhibitors. It's great, and we haven't seen anything similar to that. So we wanted to continue that by offering this virtually and pivoted from in person to on this platform. So hopefully you'll get the most out of it, and we're happy to have this platform virtually for you. If you're unaware, the San Diego Airport, we maximize opportunities, and we're very committed to making sure that small, local, underutilized businesses are able to get the opportunity to get those resources, technical assistance, giving you all the information and guidance that you can use moving forward to help your business grow. And just to get an idea of the crowd today, we're going to launch 2 different polls. So I welcome you to click on the poll once it's launched. We just wanted to get feelers of what kind of audience we have today. So for my help support team, please go ahead and launch that poll, please. All right, so poll number 1 question, what business size or type does your business fall under? So we've got 4 categories here. Got 1 for small business, 2 if you happen to be a medium, the large business, 3 you're not certified as an ACDBE, but you happen to be a minority in small business, or 4 you already have the ACDBE certification. So kudos to you if you have that. It looks like 50% has voted so far. I'll give it maybe 10, 15 more seconds to see if we get any more votes to get as many as possible. All right, let's see our results. So it looks like based on the poll results, we have a hefty 71% small businesses. Amazing number, wow. And we have 6% that are medium to large, and we have 41% that are both minority and small, but not certified. So definitely that is a great stat, because now I know we want to definitely bring up the topic of a little bit on how important ACDBE certification is, and we can guide you to that. And it looks like 18% are certified as ACDBEs. Good job to those that have that certification. It's not an easy one. It takes a lot of time, energy, and it's paper intensive. So want to give yourselves a pat on the back for continuing your certification and getting through that, because that's a huge hurdle to jump through. Great. Now we're going to launch poll question number 2. What business category does your firm match for below? So we have so many different concession categories. We can only fit this many, so tried my best. We have retail, F&B, food and beverage, passenger service, supplier, advertising, vending, duty-free, passenger lounge, and other. Let's give it a little bit more time for at least a little bit more. We have half voted so far. There's no wrong answer. Whatever matches you the best. Okay, Well, we can stop at 56% that's voted. So our stats for category concession types, it looks like we have a tie between food and beverage and other. And then the next tie looks like we have suppliers at 23%, retail we have 15%, vending we have 8%, passenger lounge we have 8%, and it looks like today we do not have anyone that is under advertising or duty free, other than one of our panel members. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for your participation on that poll. So this afternoon, we have a fine lineup of panelists and wanted to quickly just do a little introduction. And so they'll turn on their cameras or they'll verbalize hello. So I wanted to welcome Mission Yogurt, Aaliyah Kilgore.
Hi, I'm Aaliyah.
We have P&P Services, LLC, Ms. Kimberly Parker.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
We have SFS Beauty, California, LLC, Michael Million.
Hi, everybody.
We have from High Flying Foods, Kevin Wesley. He's saying hello, but today, Kevin, you will only be able to hear Kevin's voice, so he is waving on the other side of his phone.
Good afternoon. I think I'm unmuted now.
Yes. Thank you, Kevin. And last but not least, Procurement Concepts Inc. We have Mr. Gil Johnson. Oh, you're muted, Gil.
Greetings, hello everyone, and welcome.
Thank you all panelists for introducing yourself. So in today's airport concession panel, you will be hearing from our panelists who all happen to be our San Diego Airport concessionaire operators. They currently have existing contracts here at our airport, and today they will be able to share with you a little bit about their company. They're going to share with you any success stories, pivotal moments they want to share, critical decisions that they may have had to face to make sure that the future is looking bright for their company. They'll share with you nuggets of wisdom on how a small or emerging business such as yourself can position yourself to be successful and being steps closer to landing an opportunity as an airport concessionaire or even a vendor, etc. So without further ado, I would like to welcome to the spotlight our first panelist from Mission Yogurt, Aaliyah Kilgore. You can take it away.
Thank you, Christine, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again, Christine and the San Diego International Airport for inviting us to be on this call today. I am so excited to share more about Mission Yogurt. And as Christine mentioned, feel free to type questions in that chat box at any time, and I'm happy to answer them at the end. So to introduce myself, my name is Aaliyah Kilgore, and I'm the Director of Business Development for Mission. I'm coming from you today from my home in Evergreen, Colorado, where there's snow on the ground, and I am actually wrapped up in a cozy blanket because it's really cold and my dog is sleeping under my feet. So to tell you a little bit more about me and my background, I've been with Mission Yogurt for over 4 years, but I've worked with small businesses and entrepreneurs for my entire career. I came to work at Mission specifically because I love seeing the growth of small businesses and how hard our founder and CEO, Rod Tafoya, worked to get where he is today. Next slide, please. Mission Yogurt is a family-owned, minority-owned boutique airport hospitality company. We operate primarily in high-traffic airports, including Denver, which is our home base, San Diego, of course, and soon John Wayne Airport. We have over 30 years of experience in restaurant concessions, and we operate a wide range of concepts, including fast food, fast casual, coffee shops, and full-service restaurants and bars. We started with very humble beginnings with just one frozen yogurt shop in Arvada, Colorado back in 1988, which admittedly was the year I was born. Sorry to date myself. On our worst day when it was snowing during a Broncos game in Colorado, we made only $5 a day, or should I say Rod made only $5 that day. So that's why we kept our name, Mission Yogurt, to remind us where we came from. And probably the most pivotal moment for Rod, pictured here, was in 1995 when he landed his first concession at Denver Airport. It was Sara Lee sandwich shop, and it's a location that we actually still have today, 25 years later. Now today we operate 13 concepts in 3 airports, but our goals remain the same as when we first started. And those goals are steady growth, developing the best team in the industry, and providing an outstanding customer experience to our guests. Earlier this year, we were awarded Best ACDBE Operator by Airport Experience News, an honor that we were really, truly humbled to receive. And we've also received worldwide recognition for our operations and our concepts. Next slide, please. Some of those awards are shown here. Root Down is a local licensed brand in Denver that we brought to the airport at Denver International. And it was the global winner for Best Health-Centered and Vegan Restaurant Offering of the Year for Airport Food and Beverage Awards, or FAB. It is very FAB. We operate 2 of the highest grossing Einstein Brothers bagels in the entire country, with pre-COVID revenues at $4.5 million in San Diego and $6 million in Denver in 2019. Einstein's at San Diego was also among the first ocean-friendly restaurants at the airport as part of the Surfrider Foundation. So that's something we're really proud of. And finally, Timberline Steaks and Grill, which is a steakhouse at Denver Airport, has been among the top 100 independent restaurants in the US for the last 5 years. And that number is based on sales. We were number 74 last year because we did 14 million in sales in one 4,000 square foot restaurant. So these are just a few of the recent awards and acknowledgements that we are really excited about. Next slide. Our portfolio is small but mighty compared to the industry's larger concessionaires, like our friends at High Flying Foods, some of which you'll hear from today. And our brand portfolio includes nationally recognized brands such as Einstein's, local chef-driven outposts, and original proprietary concepts. We own and operate every single one of these restaurants, and we're directly involved with day-to-day operations. So we take a very hands-on approach that is customized to each location and each market. Across all of our concepts, we are committed to using all natural meats and organic produce whenever possible, and we offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options. We also operate with the environment in mind, and this includes composting, recycling, and utilizing repurposed decor at many of our restaurants. Sustainability and sustainable practices are just really important to us in our business. So what is next for Mission? A few of the brands that we are particularly excited about are Taps Fish House and Brewery. You can see our new rendering on the upper right corner here. And Taps is an Orange County institution, and we're bringing that to John Wayne Airport. And then the second concept is Greenleaf, a local, super healthy and delicious restaurant and bar, also coming to John Wayne Airport, slated to open mid-2021. Next slide. So the philosophy we live by is accomplishing the unexpected. Yes, operating in the airport is a challenge, but it's actually really fun. Every day is fast-paced, and you never know what you might encounter, from snowstorms to delayed flights to airport emergencies to the more serious historical moments that we faced, like 9/11, the recession, and now a pandemic. We've really been through it all, and we've weathered the storms. So today, Christine asked us specifically to address this question: what are the most critical changes and decisions that your company has made to face the future effectively? Taking COVID as an example, we had to furlough over 500 employees as our sales plummeted to 5% of pre-COVID numbers. But through the entire pandemic, we kept nearly every single one of our restaurants open, which is something we're really proud of, because we knew it was an important sign of respect, both to our airport partners who had to stay open as well, and essential for those who had to continue to travel. We also continued to offer our employees health insurance, and now we've hired 75% of them back. In terms of changes in our restaurants that we've had to make, we've implemented, of course, intensive COVID safety training, and we expanded our seating for social distancing. And our team members have stayed positive and mostly healthy. We have had some cases, which is really hard for us all. Our values have really been exemplified during this challenging time, and we've had to show our values of flexibility and adapt to the changing industry. Communication has been paramount, but we've definitely shown loyalty and determination to our airport partners to keep going through it all. Next slide. So now that you know more about mission, I want to share more about how small businesses like yourself can position them to successfully land a contract with a company like ours. As a small business ourselves and an ACDBE, we understand the importance of lifting others up, and we really try to do that from the brands we work with to the vendors that we use. And what we're really looking for in San Diego for the next round of concession opportunities are local partners, which I'm hoping most of you are, who understand this market. Our partners typically fall into 4 categories, and those include brands, many of whom are local, ACDBEs, goods and services, and design and construction contractors. Regarding brands, we seek well-known, established brands, local, regional, and national, that have the ability to translate to the airport guest and the airport environment. So a good example that I mentioned earlier is Taps Fish House and Brewery, based in Orange County. They've got a few different locations in different regions, and bringing them to John Wayne is something that we're really excited about. So that's an example of how we'd work with a brand in a licensing capacity. We're also open to partnering with other ACDBEs in our industry on joint ventures. These are not relationships that happen overnight, of course. It can take years to develop. It's like a marriage. So we are definitely interested in getting to know ACDBEs in the area. Third, we're always looking for ACDBE and non-ACDBE goods and services providers. As I mentioned earlier, we try to source locally whenever possible, and part of that commitment is to using local suppliers. And finally, we work with general contractor who is committed to using local, minority, and women-owned design and construction subcontractors. Last slide, please. So I'd like to leave you with a quote today that I think is both relevant to the times that we're living in and the conversation that we're having here today. And that is, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And Winston Churchill said that. So thank you so much for your time today. And now I'd like to open it up for questions.
All right, if anyone has questions, feel free to type that in the group chat. Don't be shy. But in the meantime, wanted to just compliment your concessionaire company for retaining 75% or getting 75% back after having to furlough 500. My heart literally sank when I heard the number 500. I can't even imagine what that was like to make that announcement. Are there any plans in the near future of how to get the remaining 25% back that were furloughed during the pandemic?
Yeah, and you know, some of those, I mean, we've done our best to get all of them back. Some of them inevitably have had to go on to new opportunities and to support their families. So, you know, for us, it was important, I think, through that challenging time to continue to offer benefits until, you know, folks could get back on their feet. But yeah, absolutely. We're all hoping to get back to 100%. And I think projections are, you know, anywhere from 1 to 2 years until we're back at full capacity.
Okay.
I think everyone at San Diego we've actually kept. It's actually Denver that's been hit harder. So our San Diego team was pretty lean to begin with.
Okay, I see. And could you elaborate a little bit more on the sustainability practices, whether you had to look out for different types of suppliers or companies and finding new ways to be sustainable, and seeing that that's such an important topic nowadays to take care of Mother Earth, because we're going to be there in the future and we want to make sure we take care of her.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I love this question. So sustainability it is not just at the sourcing of eco-friendly packaging. It's really at all parts of the supply chain. So that starts with building materials and choosing eco-friendly building materials that are sustainable, are going to last the test of time, and you're not having to replace them over and over again and trash them. And then from our sourcing, so sourcing farm sustainable ingredients, and then of course to supplying eco-friendly packaging, as I mentioned earlier. And then after the fact, what are you doing with trash? Recycling, composting, those are all practices we participate in. And I think most importantly, what we don't think about in terms of sustainability is just the longevity of people and humans. So part of that is training people and what it means to be good to the earth, but it also means how do we create long-term careers that are sustainable for our employees? And that's something that we do and try to like really hire from within. Thank you for that question.
Yes, that's really important. Retention, employee retention, how to keep someone interested in growing and really making sure that you know what their track is so that you can mentor them and get them to just move up and get all that experience, because there's nothing like loyalty out there. We actually have one question that just came in. Scott is asking, as a local sign and graphics company, how do they go about receiving bid solicitations for single locations? So not sure if your concessionaire operator, if that's something that you guys handle or not. For San Diego,
I might put that question back to you, Christine. I mean, yeah. What outlets are you guys using for soliciting bids? And then, you know, I would say from our end, typically when we're looking for sign-in graphics, it's through our general contractor or subcontractors.
Okay. I would have to look into that with the asset managers on my team to see that, since I'm not involved with the signage. But for all solicitations within the San Diego Airport, the ones that we take care of, everyone would have to be registered on our vendor portal. It's www.san, like San Diego.org/business. That's our portal to release and advertise all solicitations. But if it's a contract that's held by a prime concessionaire contractor where it's under their umbrella, whether it be the design build part, then that would be a little bit different. So I can look more into that for you, Scott. That looks like that's probably not a concessionaire question, but we can get back to you on that. All right. Thank you so much, Elia. Thank you very much for that presentation. Such a touching story.
Thank you so much.
And you're welcome. All right. Well, next up, I wanted to introduce our panelists number 2 and 3. They are joint venture partners, SFS Beauty California LLC, Michael Million, and P&P Services LLC. Ms. Kimberly Parker is an ACBE. They will now tell you about their joint venture partnership and different tips they have for businesses. Take it away.
Thank you, Christine. Hi, this is Michael Million. I'm actually with Duty Free Partners. We're a global travel retailer with operations in practically all continents, in airports, border shops, cruise ships, and airlines. And specifically here for San Diego, we have 2 locations with 2 different entities, but with our same partner, Kimberly Parker with P&P Services. And a clear example of, we started with a small store. Next slide, please. With a small store for MAC Cosmetics, and then our partnership grew, and we ended up winning the solicitation for the duty free at San Diego International Airport. I think, and please next slide. So our 2 locations are here. One is a MAC Cosmetics it's kind of like a pop-up store, because it was an invented space and an open space within the terminal. But I think it came out beautifully. And then on the top left, you see our duty-free shop in Terminal 2 West. And both locations are run brilliantly by Kimberly in a day-to-day basis. Obviously, Kimberly and I speak a lot, but she's there on the ground, which is, we couldn't have done it without her, honestly. And I think if the next slide, one of the key factors of our success, I would say, is first communication. I mean, there has to be a daily communication. There has to be not only communication that you answer the phone, but you're willing to listen, right? I think the communication is willing to speak and willing to listen, which is very important. Also, there has to be a commitment from both sides, and alignment in the sense that there's the same vision. We know where we're going, and we agree to disagree. That is very important for that to happen, because that will cause the two most important day-to-day characteristics of work, which are ownership and interdependence. They're both, partners have to be both owners. And what I mean by both owners is, don't look at the percentage. Obviously, a prime has more percentage, but the other person is also owner. And there are situations when it comes down to numbers that the majority owner has a bit more say. But what I'm trying to say is, in the day-to-day, it's 50-50. You know, we're in this together, and giving that weight to the other partner of 50%. For me, I found it a key to success, and that creates interdependence, because if you're 50-50, you depend on the other 50% in order to operate, right? Next slide, please. So my recommendations to any company that wants to become an ACDBE or partner, and also partner with a prime like us, there's four important aspects that you or characteristics that you have to make sure that you present yourself with, and the other party understands or sees. First is value. It's like, what value are you going to bring? Because we're all looking for value. I think we all know that, but we tend to forget sometimes on pitching our services or product from the source of the value that it's bringing. I think that would be the most important one. Also, specialization. Don't try to be I know everything, because it doesn't work. Big primes like us are looking for, especially when we go into an airport, I'm saying, wait, look, there's aspects of our operation which I cannot manage globally. I need local touch. And that specialization, in the case of Kimberly, she's an amazing trainer of the brand of etiquette, and a human resource that brought exactly what I needed at that moment. I could have someone managing an operation by being a bit more away from it, while I have to handle other regions. So that's one of the reasons why we partnered. And also, she brought innovation and became adaptable to our procedures. She adapted and we adapted, because it's 50-50. But if you're able to show value, specialization, innovation, and adaptability, I think that's what's going to spark the interest of primes to wanting to partner. Next slide, please.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how we got started. It was a very interesting process. I was wooed by another company years ago and went and got my ACDBE certification, and I had my information with the state of California online. And I didn't win the first RFP back in 2011, but what I did was I kept my certification up, and out of the blue, Michael called me and said that he would like to have a meeting and to see if I was interested in partnering with them on the Mac store. And so Michael and his partner Fabiano flew in, and they wined and dined me, and we struck a deal. And the interesting part about the Mac store is we also have a separate relationship with Estee Lauder on the back end. So I was very fortunate enough to learn the ins and outs of the business through my partner's perspectives, as well as Estee Lauder, which of course is a global brand. What I do now is I primarily handle human resources. I'm the man on the ground because my partners are traveling all over the world. So I handle the day-to-day operations in conjunction with our managers for both of our locations. And I handle the majority of any HR issues that may arise. I handle most of the hiring. I handle all of the banking for our teams. I handle some of the IT issues. And the neat part about all of this is that my partner, the process of elimination, I'm the man on the ground, but my partner really allowed me to become involved with all aspects of the business. And that's my number one recommendation to any ACDBE that's getting into this category with airport concessions. I think that it's very important that you strike a deal with your partner to learn every aspect of the business. And that's really how the program is wired and what it's for. It's so that you ultimately will become a prime once you learn everything. He has an image, Michael has an image of our Sky Free shop there. The Mac store, which is directly across from the Sky Free shop, the Mac store was probably about 90% constructed when I came on board. Excuse me, as an ACDBE. But the neat part about the Sky Free shop, it's about 2,000 square feet. It used to be a hamburger store on the food court side, which you can see is towards the runway in the back. And then on the front part, it was Brooks Brothers. And so because I'm here in San Diego, my partners allowed me free reign to work on every aspect of construction. So I got to work with the tear down of the two stores. I got to work with the architects with the renderings. I got to work with the merchandising. I know all about the architecture, the structural components of the building. So it was really a fun opportunity to really get to learn the entire aspects of the business. And I really value my partnership with my prime because, again, they allowed me the leniency to go in and really learn what we do in our businesses and what primes really do, and then to learn the airport side of it as well. I think what I contribute to our business is I'm an etiquette expert, so I'm constantly training our employees on the proper way to say things. I think that we have exemplary customer service. One of our employees at MAC has won the High Five Award 2 months in a row based on his customer service and his excellent selling skills. I really enjoy working with all members of our team. Where I see us going, I think that I have a very optimistic outlook on everything. I try to see our business venture as half full, as I do with most things in my life. However, COVID has dampened that just a little bit. What I do see, though, is ultimately growing into other businesses here at SAN and quite possibly other airports. And of course, I love working with my prime, so it makes it very easy to want to partner with them again. That's it. Next slide, please. Well, thank you so much for having us. Michael, do you have anything else to contribute to that?
No, thank you. Amen, I'm going to say.
Thank you both. Since we don't have any questions, I have some things to bring up or some follow-up questions to some of your presentation points. So that's wonderful. Since 2011, that's when everything started. And if at first you don't succeed, just try again. And that's just amazing that it just took one phone call. Did you both meet through a organization, a trade organization, or through a network of word of mouth, or what was that exactly of having,
Yeah.
you had your number from somewhere. It wasn't just the blue book.
You tell the story, Michael.
Or Rolodex.
It's actually, I believe it was divine intervention, right? But it's literally grabbing the list of registered ACDBEs within the airport. And
Yeah.
I obviously grabbed an Excel, reduced it to the, digamos, to the services that I believe we needed at that time. And out of that list,
Mhm.
I said, I'm calling this one. And
Wow. Let me close my eyes and just pick one, but that just
yes,
shows how important it is for that AC certification. One of the benefits, just to bring a little bit more to that topic, since there's a high number of people here attending and watching the session, there's 40% that are small and minority businesses not certified. So once you are certified, your profile is on a public database. It's the California Unified Certification Database, and that is searchable and accessible by anyone that's trying to look for someone to work with. They can narrow it down by the region, the district that you're in California, by your trade, the business category. If they're looking for someone in retail, food and beverage, advertising, vendor, they will find you, and that just goes to show that it could help, and that's how you were found on that database. And how many people did you call? It was just straight to Ms. Parker, and it was a match made in heaven from there?
Yes,
So
I like to believe
I-
so. And I'd also like to mention that we're also certified in Arizona. The same certifying agency for California certifies for Arizona. And once our name is, once you're in the database, I get calls frequently about other businesses that would like to partner with me, but I'm quite satisfied with my partnerships that I have now with my partners, with my prime. So, but it's excellent opportunities come my way all the time based on me being keeping my certification active. So I highly recommend that.
That's good. And for those that are not familiar, once you're certified in your home state, the interstate certification process is not as paper intensive. That agency works with your home state to get your questionnaire. It's basically an on-site questionnaire and interview that was conducted by the certifying agency and that applicant. They send over a copy of that, and then there's a short couple pages for the interstate, and then it can be that quick, and you can be certified from state to state if your business plans on expanding itself beyond your stomping ground. So that's good to keep an eye out on growth. Well, thank you so much to both of you. That was an excellent presentation and hearing your story. Thank you very much, and want to now bring our next panelist to the spotlight. We have from High Flying Foods, Mr. Kevin Kevin Wesley, my apologies. He will be on his phone and you'll hear his voice. So without further ado, take it away, Kevin. All right, Kevin, are you on line with us now? I think he just needed to unmute yourself. Can you try unmuting yourself? Okay, so while we have this resolved, we can go over to our panelist number 5 presentation. If you will, Sydney, if you want to I'll go through these really quick. We have from Procurement Concepts Inc, Mr. Gil Johnson, who is High Flying Foods ACDB partner. So he will go ahead and take the spotlight for now while we try to resolve the technical issue. Thank you everyone for your patience. Gil, can you please come on board? Thank you so much, Gil. Thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah. So now I can get on. I did text Kevin that he was on, but my name is Gil Johnson. Company is Procurement Concepts Inc. We are a San Diego-based ACDBE airport concessionaires. Company was formed in 1984, and it was really formed with three focuses: retail display allowance, ACDBE consulting, and purchasing consultants. So to go back through a couple of those focuses, RDA is a allowance that's given to retailers for the shelf space of magazines that they sell. And that's how we got introduced to the business originally. It is like an accounting service. For every copy of a magazine that's sold, there's a percentage given to the retailer. So we were exposed to many ACDBE companies in various airports that we had as clients, where we were doing the RDA for them. The second phase of our business was consulting to ACDBEs and primes to help to form the relationship or marriage and to help them navigate some of the contracts that was being let. Example, we worked with many of the ACDBEs in LAX, DFW, and JFK. So most of the larger airports. And the third aspect was that of a purchasing consulting company. And what that meant was that we bought in commodities, and we bought commodities, and we were able to give more aggressive and more attractive prices to the individuals because of the large quantities that we were buying goods and services at. We first got into the airport business in the 1992 timeframe. 1992 timeframe, and the way that we got into the actual retail business itself is, as I said previously, we were consulting to other ACDBEs, we were consulting to other airports. So it was a natural transition or a natural progression for PCI to become concessionaires themselves. Our first venture into airport was that of a subcontractor. Now, ACDBEs many times will have their own contracts with the airport authority, or they could have a relationship with a prime contractor, and that could be either a joint venture relationship or a subcontract relationship. Subcontract relationships would say that you were to run your own operations, but it is under the umbrella of the master concessionaire. But I will expand on that a little bit more as I go through. So Kevin, I think you need to mute. So we sublease with hosts at the San Diego airport, starting with 6 post-security locations. I'm sorry, we didn't start with 6, we grew to 6. And a post-security location is after security, security locations, of course, is on the street side. We started actually with a push cart in 1992. Very similar to what Aaliyah was saying, Rod started with. Many times you have to start small and gain experience because an airport environment is different than a street environment. Although there are transferable skills, there are also many things that are different. Street side, you typically do not have to worry about the security requirements because it is required that if we are beyond security, all of our people go through a 10-year background check and they're badged. Getting product in and out of the airport is more difficult. So it is more challenging, not impossible to overcome, obviously, but it is challenging and it does require a different skill set. So as a subtenant to host, at the end of our contract, we had migrated from a push cart to 6 to 7 locations total. And they were a bookstore and a Hallmark card store. So we had licensed with national brands that we ourselves had negotiated. We financed, had designed, and also hired the contractors to build our locations. They were not built by the prime contractor. So that really gave us the ability to truly better understand business because it was our responsibility to adhere to all of the rules, regulations, and goals of the master concessionaire, which they are responsible to the airport, but we ourselves were the ones that executed those projects. We had actually 2 full-service gift and news shops, and we were a licensee of See's Candy. We had See's Candy locations, and when I say See's Candy locations in the airport, we would order candy on a weekly basis on pallets. So the quantity, we were talking about not pounds, but thousands of pounds of candy weekly over those 3 locations. Next slide, please. We really re-engineered ourselves in the latter part of 2012. And the optimum word now is pivot, yeah. But we pivoted at that point because PCI was running all of the locations themselves. So we had the workforce, we hired and trained the workforce. We did all of our own purchasing, we did all of our own financing. So we were doing everything ourselves. And as I said, that was 7 locations in San Diego. But it had restricted us to San Diego because although we were larger than a mom and pop, we weren't large enough to really work outside of the area or the state at that point in time. So we looked at how do we grow the business. One of the strategies and focuses was to create joint ventures or partnership relationships. And we had created 2 joint ventures at the San Diego airport. One was for retail. We presently have a joint venture with PGC, which is Pacific Gateway Concession, which is a concessionaire out of Northern California, and PCI, we formed an LLC called PGC PCI San Diego. Under that LLC, we have 3 gift shops, 1 kids store, a ladies boutique, which is the photograph that you see here, the first boutique actually in the San Diego airport. It was called Apricot Lane, which is a street brand. Have about 70 locations across the country. And the other store was a beach fun and sun store. So that's a joint venture relationships that's owned by ourselves and our partner, PGC. We too had some difficult times when COVID-19 hit. Difficult times, and what did we do with our workforce? Because our business was down some 90, 92, 93%. Just no passengers through the airport. We made a decision to furlough our employees as opposed to terminate them. And the differentiation was that we really wanted our employees to remain as long as possible a part of our team. Also, furloughing them allowed them to keep their benefits and their medical. And to us, that was very important, because really the strength of a company is, one of the strengths of the company is based upon the team members you have. The team members are your greatest asset. So we wanted to try to keep that team in place as much as possible. So it needless to say, it was difficult because you're having expenditure with no income. So therefore you're working off of reserves. So it really was a business decision and a strategic decision, but we think the right decision. I want to reemphasize again that we believe that one of our most important assets is indeed the team members of the employees. And to that point, when we were an independent company, as I said, PCI earlier, one of the things that we are very proud of is that we saw, in some instances, it was indeed an entry-level job for some of our team members. But of that, we saw a half a dozen, actually 8, not a half a dozen, not 6, but 8 of them go to work for us as high school students, graduate high school, go to college. When they came home on breaks and vacations, we tried to give them hours, and actually saw many kids better themselves, end up with a college, pardon me, college education. And we feel as if we indeed did give them a platform, a springboard, a jumping off point to do that. Next slide, please. We have a second joint venture, and that is with High Flying Foods, of which you will hear from Kevin Wesley shortly, at the San Diego airport. And as you can see, under that joint venture is Stone Brewing, Bankers Hill, Panikins, and all 3 of those are local brands. Phil's Barbecue, of course, Phil's a local brand. The Counter, which is a hamburger concept and a breakfast concept out of LA, and Saffron Thai, probably being a little biased, the best Thai restaurant in San Diego, and Artisan Market. Well, that gave us the opportunity to really get into the F&B side of the business. We were retailers and had been retailers for years, so we understood retail and we understood the airport environment, but this was a bridge to get us into the F&B. So although we brought to the table our experience operating at the airport, now we were able to put other expertise in our tool belt. This is I think, an outstanding business relationship, and the other presenters, as you have heard them speak to, it's really, really important to have a good rapport, good relationship with your partner. We meet at least once a quarter, which is a requirement of the airport, and that is to discuss business issues, going through P&Ls, going through the finances. But actually, we probably speak once or twice a week, just to kind of stay on top of things. So it is more than a mandated, this is when you will meet. It is a true interaction relationship. It's interactive in the respect that although we have outstanding managers and an incredible general manager here locally at the airport, still more hands on the throttle helps us to better navigate and negotiate. The partnership is a very strong partnership, and it's very supportive and very collaborative. Next slide, please. In addition to the two joint ventures, we, Procurement Concepts, have a sublease with High Flying Foods. The slide that you saw previously is a partnership of High Flying Foods Partnership San Diego. Those are the ones that we are actual owners in that partnership relationship. And we are owners of those 7 locations that you saw. Well, in addition to that, we have a sublease under High Flying Foods with a dessert concept that's called Elegant Desserts. And Elegant Desserts, we designed, built, finance, and operate on a day-to-day basis. So we diversified our portfolio. I said previously in the top of the conversation that we had these 7 locations in San Diego that we owned and operated ourselves. But the good news and the bad news is that the good news being we had the operations and we were able to operate. The bad news was that it stifled our growth. By forming the partnerships and the joint ventures has now allowed us to go from 7 locations in one airport to multiple locations and multiple airports. Next slide, please. We now have partnerships in the San Francisco airport. Also, we were just awarded 8 locations with our JV partner in LAX. Some of those are online, not all of those are built out at this point. And we're strengthening our relationship with High Flying Foods. Fingers crossed, I'm pleased to say that because of the rapport and the relationship, we had High Flying Foods invited us to bid in Denver with them for 2 locations in Denver. So we are very excited about that. Back to the San Francisco location, we have a retail shop in San Francisco that sort of set the pace for the industry. Most retail shops are in the area of 1,000 to 1,300 square feet. This one is 5,200 square feet, and it produces revenues in the area of $12 to $13 million a year, and that is phenomenal for a single location, a single retail specialty location. So as you can see, by re-engineering and repositioning the business, it allowed us now to be in San Diego, San Francisco, LA, and hopefully Denver, and still continuing to grow. Next slide, please. We have and strongly believe, I think I've tried to reiterate through this presentation, that our team members are our most important asset. We believe that if you treat them properly and fairly, they will do and give the very best to the business, to the extent that the business becomes a part of their legacy. I am pleased to say that we have employees that have been with us 16, 18 years. So we think that that's a testament to the way that we treat our employees. Kevin will speak a little bit more about the high flying foods component. And as I said, we value that partnership, we value that relationship, and we want to grow together. I am available for any questions that anyone have. Put it in the chat box.
For now, we haven't received any questions, but I have a question that I came up with while listening to your amazing presentation, Gil. So after having new joint venture contracts awarded to your company, did you feel like your time had to be flexed or shifted where you needed more employees or help in certain areas so that you can maintain your role for all JVs across each of the airports that you have a contract under?
I don't know that the number really went up as opposed to the quality of individuals, because now that individuals was doing more managing than they were actually hands-on, because in many of the joint venture relationships, our prime is staffing and operating the stores on a daily basis. You know, we are providing some of the purchasing attributes, some of the HR attributes. So everyone has a role to play. It is indeed like an orchestra, and that way we get economy of scale because we're not duplicating the efforts, but we're complementing the efforts.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I love how you value your team members, and that 16 to 18 years with your company really is a testament to how you treat everyone, and you have a good business model. So it's amazing to hear about how you've enriched so many different lives of young high schoolers. And so you said 6 of them are with you still today after being from high school, about 6 or so you said?
Couple of them are attorneys, and I'm pleased to say we don't have them on staff. I don't
Okay.
want them on staff.
Wonderful.
But
Thank you so much.
we are, you know, I know that because we're still in contact with them, and it's great because some of them went into the legal profession, some of them went into the finance profession. So you have a friendly voice to call now.
That's good. They were able to just get that experience, and then you just kick them out of the nest and they flop their wings. So
Exactly.
wonderful, and kudos to you and your company for doing that for them. Well, thank you so much, Gil, for your time and your presentation today. I am now going to bring to the spotlight from High Flying Foods, Mr. Kevin Wesley.
Hi, can you hear me, Christine?
Yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic. I'm glad we got done with the technical difficulties. Thank everybody for their
Yes.
patience.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience and staying with us through this whole 90-minute session. Go ahead and take it away.
So I'm Kevin Wesley. I've been with High Flying Foods for just over 10 years. High Flying Foods started out as street restaurateurs over 20 years ago and moved into their first airport SFO just under 20 years ago, and has now evolved into being in 5 different airports. Next slide, please. We really look at our company, our relationships as family. Gil, we appreciate what you said and we love working with you. Hopefully we'll get that opportunity in Denver as well. Next slide, please. Our approach to our business is really to bring a street restaurant into the airport. No compromises on freshness of product, no compromises on service, and really our focus is on sales. A lot of what you do on the street is you compete at a very high level to get sales and to earn repeat customers. We try to teach our employees that many people come through airports once a week, once a month, and the key to their income as well as our long-term sustainability is basically based on creating those regular customers and the word of mouth that does. Next slide, please. We look for people who love hospitality. We call it the hospitality quotient. People that go to work and enjoy serving other people, whether it's cooking or bartending or whatever application it has, are fun to work around. Next slide, please. And a lot of what we try to do is go into a market, look for iconic local restaurant brands, and honestly, we go shop them before we even contact them. And we want our experience to be and verify that they're as good as their iconic standing. And then we introduce ourselves and start talking about usually a year or two before an opportunity in an airport within their city and start to build on that long-lasting relationship. Our goal, as you heard with Gil, is that these relationships become friends. Next slide, please. We are inspired especially by our restaurant friends, by their involvement in the local community. We heard Alea talk earlier about sustainability in terms of sourcing. I think we value and very much try to bring fresh product into the airport and within a small local sustainable footprint when we can do that. Next slide, please. Our goal is to focus on our existing business and slowly and gradually build our business. So clearly we're not looking to be the biggest. We compete with many very large companies, but we are working very hard to be the best, at least the best that we're capable of. A lot of that is allowing no cut corners. We don't have any commodity brands. We basically don't do fast food and we don't make excuses. We try very hard to meet the passenger needs. Next slide, please. It appears to be working. At the AXN, which is kind of the Oscars, if you would, of the airport world. We've been nominated for over 20 awards in the last 6 years and have won 13. And the one I'm most proud of is Best Overall Restaurateur in our division the last 3 years in a row. Next slide, please. To give you an idea as to what brands we bring in and how we look for them. Next slide, please. Stone Brewing, we met Greg many years ago. Greg was actually very interested in coming in and actually partnering with us in the airport, and due to some of the tight house laws was not able to do that. And we continued our conversation for several months, got down to almost time to submit the RFP, and finally crafted an agreement to license their brand within the airport. Next slide, please. We also look to James Beard nominees, people with high chef pedigrees, Carl Schroeder and his partner at Bankers here, Terrell Gavri, and basically wanted to have a cool hip bar that served food in Terminal T1 East. Next slide, please. Panic & Coffee was an easy one. We wanted to look for a non-major national brand of coffee, something that spoke locally. And we met Sean, the owner of Panic & Coffee. And Sean is one of those rare individuals that you meet that you just love him. He's family oriented. He loves his employees. In fact, his employees do their own schedules. And we really liked his whole vibe, the quality of his coffee, the hand roasting. And we brought that coffee into the San Diego airport. Next slide, please. Another major iconic brand of Phil's Barbecue. This one was exactly the opposite of the way we built the relationship with Greg with Stone. Glenn and I met with Phil. Phil had received offers from several other national concessionaires. We sat down and had lunch in his restaurant, and in 45 minutes had a signed licensing deal. Love working with Phil, love his barbecue. Next slide, please. The counter was an interesting one. We wanted to lightly alter their concept. It was a sit-down restaurant in Santa Monica. They had a great idea to customize all the burgers, so you filled out your menu. And we wanted to do that actually in Terminal T1 East, where you would order your meat, your cheese, your bun, and then go through the process of all the vegetables, all of the toppings, any sauces, mustard, ketchup, et cetera, that you wanted, and actually create a custom burger right in front of you. And they actually worked with us and allowed us to move forward with that. And in fact, they've now taken that concept and done something called Built, of which they have several dozen stores. And that's the kind of partnership that we like to have, an active brand partner that talks to us on a regular basis, that visits us, that keeps us honest. And honestly, we love the opportunity to impress them. Next slide, please. One of my favorite choices here in San Diego was there was in the RFP, it asked for this space in Terminal T2 East, T2 West, excuse me, for an Asian concept. And Glenn came to me and said, what do you want to do? And I said, let's do Thai. And the question was, why do you want to do Thai? And the answer was, I've never done Thai before and I'd love to learn how to do it. We found Sumei, who had her own TV show, did incredibly healthy oriented Thai street food, and had written, I believe, 12 or 13 cookbooks. And Glenn and Garrett and I, Garrett being Glenn's brother, went and she taught us how to cook Thai food in a restaurant. It was an amazing experience, and you felt good after eating the food. So we were happy to bring that one into the food court. And next slide, please. The last one is a brand that it was a much larger space and ended up being a little smaller space by the time we built it out due to some movements from the TSA. And what we wanted was a brand that offered coffee and pastries and egg dishes in the morning, and then an all-day menu that offered salad and sandwiches and a bar. So we have a very small version of a stone brewing bar, so that ultimately we would meet the day part needs of each passenger coming through. Next slide, please. Well, I hope that gives you an idea as to how we choose our brands. We look for high quality, we look for passion, we look for commitment to excellence. A few questions that have come up since I first put the slides together. Gil asked me, what do you look for in an ACDBE partner? And I would say intelligence, the willingness to communicate during good times and bad, a commitment to their trade, a passion for their trade, and a commitment to the relationship. I think willingness to speak up and say, I don't fully agree with that decision, let's see if we can talk about it moving over here, is what leads to great long-term relationships. And I think also in each of those ACDBE relationships, it goes both ways, and that is to be a teacher and to be a learner. Obviously, you've heard Gil's tremendous long-term experience in the airports, and we do our best to try to draw into that, to the point where we did ask Gil to join us in 2 RFPs that we recently responded to in Denver. A question that Christine asked recently was, what are some of the difficult decisions that you've had to make? We have moved from several street locations and really decided to specialize in being an airport concessionaire about 10 years ago. And I think when you've had a restaurant in your family for a period of time, you're on a first name basis with the employees, it's really difficult to sell and or close that restaurant at the end of its lease. The good news is those were all in the Bay Area, and we were actually able to offer all of the employees and all of the managers employment within the airport if they chose to do that. Obviously, the big 800-pound gorilla in the room right now is COVID. And what are some of the kinds of changes that you have to make based on COVID? The first decision that we made that was very difficult was to close down many of our operations. Some of those were our decisions based on the employees' massive concerns for their own safety. And some were the airport's decisions where we agreed to close one store, but to leave a different restaurant open. And then the entire airline moved out of the terminal to consolidate, and we were left with no flights in that terminal. How have we responded? I'm very happy to report that we have opened almost half of our airport restaurants again. And some of the entrepreneurial spirit that's required is limiting your hours of operation for when the flights are really there. limiting your menu size so you can create and rotate the product well and serve fresh food and serve it properly. And staffing at a level that is affordable, but still allows you to quickly serve the needs of all the passengers. Appreciate the time to share a little bit about our family with you, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
I'll ask one or two last questions to you, Kevin. How frequently do you seek for new ACV vendor suppliers and partners? Is that all based on once you land a contract, you could have the opportunity to evaluate where there's an opportunity versus going back to the beginning of the RFP stage? Can you walk us through a little bit more about that?
Sure. I think there's different disciplines within the ACDBE community. We're always open to talk to suppliers about what they have. It was interesting that one gentleman talked about signage earlier. We have a good signage company today in San Diego, but for a couple of years we did not, and we went through a couple of different ones. In terms of restaurants, I think it's based on understanding when an opportunity may be coming a year or two out and beginning that search. But we're always willing to talk to people. And frankly, we're always willing to tour them through our facilities so they get an idea of what kind of an operator we are and what our expectations would be.
Wonderful, great. And I love that you mentioned about transparency. That's what you look for in a joint venture partner. And congratulations for your 21 awards. You've probably walked down that red carpet so many times that, and that burger from Bankers and Counter and Field Barbie got my stomach growling. I don't know about everyone else, but at this hour, but I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing all the information, super insightful and valuable for everyone. And I want to bring everyone back up if you want to pop your camera up so we can say final words. I want to thank everyone for your attendance and participation with the Airport Concessionaire panel this afternoon. A special thank you to all our panelists, Aaliyah, Michael, Kimberly, Kevin, and Gil. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Without your participation, without your time and preparation for your presentations, this wouldn't have been possible. The whole objective, I think we definitely put the little shiny star and we check marked off to make sure that we can help others, and we will continually help those that have questions. It's hard right now, but as long as you can prepare yourself step by step, don't lose faith, don't lose hope no matter what. If you don't get an opportunity, one door closes, another door may open. So never lose faith and continue to be resilient no matter what. If it's the right time will come when you get that phone call, or you just have to make that extra effort to reach out, to make those constant connections and reconnections, to say to someone, how's everything going? Is what's going on in your neck of the woods, to find out if there's something for you. So today is our third day. This is the final session for the day. We have two more remaining next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday is going to be focused on our San Diego Airport department. We'll be starting off the morning with Maria and I talking about our small business development program, our preference program. We have a local business certification, so definitely swing on by at that session to learn more, because that's going to be helpful for you to get, whether it be preference points or learn about more about the certifications that we accept at our airport. And all these other various departments are pretty important to take a look at. From facilities management, there's a lot of small on-call ready service contracts. Our procurement department, who oversees every department's solicitation process from beginning to end. Labor compliance is a very important topic that we take seriously. We have Jim DeCook and Dominique Scheck from our Revenue Generation Partnership Development team that handles the retail, food, and beverage. Basically, all the panelists here, they manage all the concessionaire contracts, so you can hear from them about what the future looks like for the airport and any updates. We have Required a Home program. That's our federally funded program that we have to insulate the noise from any homes that are right below the flight path in San Diego, you can apply and basically be accepted to get your house insulated. So take a look at that. And then we have our airport design and construction team that will be going over our capital improvement projects, upcoming development to basically do rehabilitation and new buildings and build outs for our facilities and campus. And then on our final day, we will end it with public agencies and business support services, PTAC, SBDC, and business credit incentives will have a presentation. They will share with you on how they can be that bridge to help you with government contracting. And business credit incentive is a new business that we came across, or we crossed paths through word of mouth and networking. They'll be able to navigate all businesses on credits and incentives that we don't even know that exists right here to cash boost your business, and you can receive and recover money that your business is entitled to. And then lastly, after we close out, we will be having a survey that is emailed out to everyone. So please, please, please fill that out. That's the only way we can improve our event year after year. Want to also bring Maria, the interim manager of small business development, to the floor as well to say her final thank yous and closures. Maria?
Thank you, Christine. And thank you to everybody for attending this great concession panel discussion that we had today. Thank you to our panelists. I know it was a lot of work and we appreciate your participation. It was something that we wanted to bring together and put it together for our audience. So thank you again. And please join us next week. We have 2 more days of a lot of good information. And so I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, everyone. See you in the sessions, and good night and be safe. We will now end this session.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gail.
Thanks.